Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. 1996 gave us an erotic crime thriller film that was written and directed by the Wachowskis. That film was called Bound, and it was the Wachowskis' film directorial debut. The movie starred Jennifer Tilly, Gina Gershon, and Joe Pantoliano. The storyline goes that sparks fly when Violet, played by Jennifer Tilly, sets eyes on Corky, played by Gina Gershon, as they ride an elevator together. You see, Violet is the girlfriend of a violent gangster named Caesar, played by Joe Pantoliano, while Corky is fresh out of prison and doing renovations on the apartment next door to where they live. As these two women launch into a passionate love affair, they develop an intricate plan for Violet to escape from Caesar with $2 million of the mob's money. But the biggest part of it all is to make it out alive. Bound is one of those movies that works you up and leaves you gasping. It's a complete mixture of genres. It's almost slapstick at some point. It's a sex movie. It's a gangster film, as well as a caper flick. It starts out super steamy with the love scenes, and then turns into a caper comedy of clockwork virtuosity. Everything in it is based on split-second timing. If anything at all goes wrong, the girls would be dead. And of course, everything does go wrong. When the film played at the Toronto Film Festival, people fled the theater. I don't quite understand this because the movie never goes as far or shows as much as it seems about to. It takes us to the edge of unacceptable, and then it tiptoes us away. The familiar movie devices that you see in so many films are made to feel new. The bodies stack up while the police arrive when there's evidence of the murder right in front of them, if they only knew where to look. The two lovers are constantly in danger of being exposed, which would lead to their death. You almost have to see it as somewhat constructed like a perfect Marx Brothers routine, as it has audiences gasping with fear and also delight. It's somewhat of a comeback film for Gina Gershon after her previous unsuccessful movie, Showgirls. She really does bring an edge and an intelligence to her character that really reminds me of the great movie The Last Seduction that starred Linda Fiorentino. Jennifer Tilly takes the giggly showgirl act that she introduced in Bullets Over Broadway that hides the real stern will that she actually possesses. Joe Pantoliano has some of the trickiest scenes in the film as he bounces from greed to paranoia to lust and then to absolute fear. The directors had their original director of photography resign, claiming that he couldn't do the film with the limited budget that he had available to him. Nor did he know anyone else in Hollywood that would be willing to work so cheaply. Subsequently, cinematographer Bill Pope was hired, and he was heavily involved in creating the visual noir style of the movie. Both he and the directors drew inspiration from their love of comics and were really influenced by Frank Miller's Sin City series. For preparation for the film, the directors asked Joe Pantoliano to watch John Huston's The Treasure of the Sierra Madre and for him to focus on Humphrey Bogart's character in order to play this role portraying Caesar and the paranoia that he had. It seems weird to say that Gina Gershon molded her character after James Dean, Marlon Brando, and Clint Eastwood blended together. The project was financed with the understanding that Jennifer Tilly was to play the role of Corky, but the actress playing Violet dropped out of the project shortly before shooting began. At that point, Gina Gershon became available to do the film. At first, she was to play Violet, but after looking at her, they decided she was better suited to be Corky, and she and Tilly changed roles. Nobody around Gershon wanted her to do this film. They felt it would ruin her career. But she was wanting to get something that would push her as an actress, and this definitely does. She even lost her agent because of doing this role. About 10 years ago, Jennifer Tilly talked about the sex and nudity in the movie and how filming those scenes and being unclothed with another woman was much less stressful than it would be with a man. She had always heard actors saying the sex scenes are so technical, and that is true. Plus, you've got everyone standing around watching, which complicates things. But she felt that it was much easier to be unclothed and in the same bed with a member of the same sex, because they both thought like a woman would. It was more relaxing. They could tell each other to put your hand there to cover up this part of my body. I don't like the way this looks. Or can you hold my breast up so that it looks more plump and juicy? Things that you would never say to a man in the same situation. In between takes, they would talk about shoe sales at the local department stores. And if they finished early, they would go shop for shoes. Putting these scenes together was surprisingly unsexy. But when you saw it on the big screen or on your TV at home, you're blown away by it. Violet and Corky have a chemistry. But they did have one real concern about doing these scenes. They felt that since Dino De Laurentiis was a producer of the movie, they were worried that after they were finished shooting the scene, they would send it off to Italy and insert some different shots into the film that were done by body doubles. And they didn't want that. The directors were also concerned about this too. So they decided to shoot that entire love scene in one long continuous shot. That way they couldn't cut into it without it looking really obvious and intrusive. The day they were scheduled to shoot that scene, it was a completely closed set. But there were monitors in the hallway, and everybody was clustered around those monitors watching. The directors put the camera on a crane because there were all these elements that they wanted to capture in the scene. They wanted it to start out on the safe, then get to the side of a bare back, and then pan all the way down to the toes. They would be yelling through a megaphone, telling the actresses what to do with different parts of their bodies. It took a total of 8 takes to get this very, very technical scene done. But it really does make you feel like you're seeing more than you actually see. Yeah, you see their bare chest for quite a while, but it's really the unseen portion that makes it so spicy. Go back and take a look at this pretty good film. I think you might enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.